communities, and landowners to address concerns and win support for every mile of the route, step by step. Over 300 miles, Line 3 has put in the work to earn our trust. Now, only a few steps remain before Line 3 and its $2.6 billion investment in Minnesota can get going. Show your support for the safest way. Check out #SafestWay and join us at mnagenergyalliance.com.
Local leaders from around the nation are meeting in Washington, D.C. to meet with congressional representatives. St. Louis Park Mayor Jake Spano is a regular attender of the National League of Cities conferences and says they don't go into the meetings expecting elected officials to have all the answers.
But we are looking for them to be partners with us and support us. We want them to obviously understand and respect that cities need to be performing. We don't have the option of sort of passing our problems on to somebody else. We have to solve problems.
The Scott County Sheriff's Office is warning parents, teachers, and students to be aware of THC edibles made to look like name brand candies. The Southwest Metro Drug Task Force raided a home in Jordan last month and found nearly 500 pieces of marijuana edibles packaged like Nerds ropes. 93 victims of clergy sexual abuse will share $34 million under a settlement with the Diocese of New Ulm. That's the latest from the newsroom. This is MNN.
Here we are in the middle of winter. Families still have a lot going on. Getting to work, kids' school activities, and staying healthy. Take a few moments each day to reflect on the needs of your family. For more information about the services provided at LMHC or to take a free confidential online screening, visit lmhc.org with offices in Alexandria, Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls, Glenwood, Moorhead, and Perham. Lakeland Mental Health Center is here to help today for a better tomorrow.
Live from the KDLM studios, it's time for Hodgepodge with Carol McCarthy, presented by Partnership for Health.
Good morning and welcome to Hodgepodge this March 11th, 2020. And today in the studio is Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk. Good morning, Mayor Brenk.
Good morning, Carol. How you doing?
Pretty good. You're looking tan.
Yeah, I was able to get away for a little break this winter, and so good to be back though. And it looks like spring is just around the corner.
I was going to say we haven't had that many warm days, and I know our lights aren't that powerful, but standing here.
And we had the new Water Carnival Admirals attended the council meeting last evening and outlined some of the plans for this summer. So it's good, it's right around the corner. Right, yeah. So it was something to look forward to. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more, looking ahead to July. July will come and we'll say what happened in the last 3 months here. So we got that going on, and some of the other things with the city council last night. Lots of projects lining up for this summer. One of those, of course, is the Detroit Lakes Police Department. The new building will start construction this summer, is slated to do that, and I know bids are going out this week. Yeah, bids will go out, and I think the idea or the plan is to have a contractor engaged as a result of those bids to be approved at the April council meeting, and then construction can begin shortly thereafter, as weather permitting, and work will go throughout the summer and into next winter, and we should be looking at a completion date, I would say, about a year from now. All right. And one of the things with this project, of course, we had a sales tax that was approved by residents in Detroit Lakes, and that money generated from that tax is used to build this building, to finance the building. And how are we doing with that sales tax, the revenue brought in? Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, each month since the sales tax began, which I believe was in October, the receipts from that tax have exceeded what we projected, and I think probably so far maybe 25 to 30% higher than we projected. So if that trend continues, which it looks like it's going to, that project should be paid off quite a bit sooner than we projected. I think we had put in there 8 or 9 years, but if we're collecting 30% more, I can't do the math in my head, but it's going to shorten it up quite a bit, save a lot of money.
All right. So that is one of the projects that's going to be underway here in 2020 this summer. Also, I know last month we talked a little bit about, actually there was a special meeting or an open house recently last week on the South Washington Avenue project. And that is going to be kind of a major thing going on, looking at mini roundabouts at a couple of those intersections.
Right. We're going to reconstruct Washington Avenue from Willow Street down to kind of halfway between North Shore Drive and the Pavilion, and that'll be reconstructed to be similar to the way Washington Avenue is to the north, with the streetscapes and the different types of enhancements to the street. And also, as you mentioned, we're looking at a roundabout at Willow and Washington Avenue. They call it a mini roundabout, and then a mini roundabout at North Shore Drive, and so. That'll be a little change for folks, but they're really efficient, these roundabouts, and they're safer than a four-way stop. So we're looking forward to that project. So that will be a major project, and we've got some other ones coming up as well.
Okay, so the one at Willow and Washington, so that's kind of also corresponding with the Willow project that we reconstructed that street, the east side.
That'll be the other. Okay. That'll be the other major project that folks will see in Detroit Lakes next summer, and that's the reconstruction of Willow from Washington Avenue going west out to just past the wastewater treatment facility, and so that'll be going on kind of at the same time as the Washington Avenue. So there's going to be some disruption, but there always is with these major projects.
Okay. All right. So something to look forward to. Construction season gets underway usually about May. We say maybe April, depending on the snow melt in the ground, I suppose.
I think look, weather-wise, I think we're a little definitely ahead of last year.
Mm-hmm. All right. Some of the other things, construction projects for, is it this year? Is that the Willow, or is that next year? Willow Street, Holmes and Frazee, not Willow, but Holmes and Frazee Street, looking at doing some reconstruction there.
Those will be this summer as well.
Summer, okay.
The segment from Washington Avenue on Frazee Street, from Washington Avenue down to McKinley, will be redone. And we're going to take a look at that McKinley-Frazee intersection, which is probably got to be the busiest intersection in town. And we may look at a mini roundabout in that site as well. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to do Holmes Street from Washington Avenue going east over to, I don't think it quite goes over to McKinley, but that'll be redone. And then the alley between Holmes and Frazee Street behind the 900 block of Washington Avenue will be reconstructed. It's in really tough shape, and if you've driven through there. So that's kind of part of that Willow Street project that'll be tagged along with that.
All right. So lots of road construction going on. So is that going to start, are those projects all going to start at the same time, or is there a little bit of a timeline, get one done and then move on to the next, or are they all going to be in one filled?
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some overlap there. I don't know if they'll start exactly on the same date, but yeah, they're going to be going on at the same time.
Okay, so...
And one thing I should mention too, Carol, as long as we're talking about these projects, we've got to overlay the project from last summer, the Willow Street from Washington down to Jackson. We'll get the final lift of asphalt, and then there's a couple blocks on West Avenue that didn't get paved because of weather issues, so that'll be paved, and then the final wear course will go on to that and to wrap that project up.
All right. In the studio, this Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk, this Wednesday morning following the City Council meeting last night, the regular meeting for the month of March for the City Council last night. Mayor Brenk, also on the agenda, you had a couple of public hearings. One of those was to change the purchase age for tobacco from 18 to 21 to kind of line up with the federal law now.
Right. We do have a tobacco ordinance in existence in Detroit Lakes, but because the federal government, as you mentioned, increased the use, purchase, and possession of tobacco to age 21, we are amending our ordinance to coincide with that, and we gave first reading last night, and we the council will likely give second reading and adopt that change in the April council meeting.
Well, and nobody was there to speak for or against it.
There was no one was there, so I'm assuming that to mean that people are supportive of it.
Okay.
So.
All right. And then you heard from the co-admirals for the 85th Annual Water Carnival and approved some permits and licenses for them.
Mandy Henningsen and Annette Korth were at the meeting last night, and they told us that they're going to have a couple of good headliner bands for the Water Carnival, and we did approve all the street closings and different permits and all the different things that go into putting the Water Carnival on. And so it was good to have them there last night, and we're looking forward to that great event again.
All right, we're in the studio this morning with Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk, talking about things going on in Detroit Lakes, lots of construction projects slated for the summer of 2020. We're going to take a quick break and return with our conversation with Mayor Brenk after this.
This is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. That's right. The seminar is Monday, March 30th at the Holiday Inn Lakefront Hotel in Detroit Lakes from 8 to 10 p.m. Registration starts at 7:30. The weight loss seminar starts at 5:30 and stop smoking at 8 p.m.
Save the date. It's the Lake Region Builders Association Home and Sports Show. Saturday, March 21st and 22nd at the Kent Freeman Sports Arena in Detroit Lakes. 2 full arenas full of builder and sport exhibitors. A silent auction with proceeds going to scholarships for building trades, gardening seminars, prize drawings, and so much more. It's a show for the whole family. Save the date for the Lake Region Builders Association Home and Sports Show. March 21st and 22nd in Detroit Lakes. Sponsored by Builders First Source, OutletRec.com, and Haas Geosystems.
Do you smoke tobacco or vape? Did you know you can stop smoking in only 1 hour with hypnosis? The cost, $80 cash or credit card. Meeting at Grand Stay Hotel in Perham, Thursday, March 19th, 4 or 7 o'clock. Hypnosis works, and it's your best chance at being a happy non-smoker for the rest of your life. Imagine that. Hypnotist Ralph Weber will be in Perham at the Grand Stay Hotel Thursday, March 19th. Attend either the 4 or 7 o'clock session. Call 218-583-1056 for questions.
The tobacco industry's business model. Step 1, get them young. Nearly all smokers start by age 18. Step 2, make them lifelong customers. Over half will die from smoking. Step 3, find replacement smokers. Step 4, repeat. Step 1.
The tobacco industry will stop at nothing to get kids addicted. But if kids don't start, smoking stops. Learn how to help at stopthestartmn.com. Brought to you by Clearway, Minnesota.
Now, back to Hodge Podge with Carol McCarthy on KDLM Detroit Lakes.
Welcome back to Hodge Podge. This Wednesday morning, March 11th, 2020, back in the studio with Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk. And Mayor Brenk, lots of projects going on, lots of projects starting, but also wrapping up some projects too, with another bituminous coat of bituminous or overlay, right. I guess.
I mentioned, that we have to put the final lift of asphalt on Willow from Washington east to Jackson, but we also have to do that out on the Randolph Road project, which was wrapped up except for the final lift last summer. And in conjunction with that, we're going to see new signal lights at the intersection of County 54 East Shore Drive, Highway 10, and also some modifications to the Chris Street lights, which have been kind of a frustrating situation there for a number of years. So that'll be also on the docket. And then we had planned on doing Westlake Drive from Legion Road to County 6, which would be, of course, a joint city Becker County project, as is the South Washington Avenue project. But we still have some right-of-way issues that haven't been resolved with some of the residents down in that Westlake Drive area. So that project looks like it's going to have to be moved to 2021.
Okay. So there you have it. Lots of road projects everywhere you turn around Detroit Lakes this summer going on. Talking to Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk on those projects that will soon start as we head into the new season. Some of the other things, of course, the Boys and Girls Club last year. New facility and a great facility for the community. Also, I think the club found out that some of the grants that they had once received have fallen through the cracks, and fundraising efforts, they've been doing their fundraising, but the city agreed to pay a little bit more for utilities, but it kind of works out that it's still in line with what the city has been paying for utilities for the club last night. Explain a little bit about how that's all working with the Boys and Girls Club.
Sure. We've been providing the Boys and Girls Club with $10,000 per year to offset some of their utility costs, and we've been doing that for many, many years. And they obviously now have a larger building with more utility costs involved, and they did request that we double that amount up to $20,000 a year to go against these utilities. However, as you alluded to, we were insuring that building, and it was costing the city just under $10,000 to insure the building, and now the Boys and Girls Club are insuring the building. So really the $20,000 is pretty much equal to how much we were expending in previous years. So we did approve that last evening.
Okay. All right. But a great facility, a great new facility here in Detroit Lakes, sitting in top of a city park, Frobisher Park, up there just to the south of the station here. In the studio this morning with Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk. Also, Pam Slifka, the finance director for the city of Detroit Lakes, has announced she will be retiring.
Yeah, Pam's been with us for 9 years, and she's ready to move on to the next phase of her life. And, sadly, we're going to lose a tremendous person that's been, at the switch in the finance department for, like I said, 9 years. So we are currently in the process of, we've opened up the position for applicants, and we hope to be able to narrow down the field and do some interviews and have a recommendation for the city council at the April meeting. But Pam has just done a great job. She's saved the city so much money with some of the bond refinances we've done. She's been a part of every major project. She's been part of the team on all the projects in Detroit Lakes. And I remember I was on the committee that when we hired Pam, and one of the reasons we did hire her was she had a good background with working with projects and development, things like that, and she's certainly proved her worth over the years. So sad to see her go, but I think she's going to stick around a little bit and help break in the new person, and we'll just have to move on from there. All
right, and you hope to have somebody in place in April or May?
Yeah, I suppose we go through this process, and whoever we hire likely has a job already. They're going to have to give some notice, so we'd like to get somebody on board if we could, probably by the middle of April. And Pam, I think, has agreed to stick around for a little while to help make that transition.
All right. Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk in the studio with me this morning following the meeting, March meeting of the Detroit Lakes City Council. And I understand a number of representatives from the city are down in St. Paul at the Capitol, hobnobbing with the legislators.
Yeah, I don't know if they're hobnobbing, but they're right now our city administrator, Kelsey Clem, our vice mayor, Ron Zeman, and alderman Dan Winter are on their way. I don't think they've even got, I think they left early, like at 5:30 this morning to go down to St. Paul. It's the annual Legislative Action Day sponsored by the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. And they're down there to talk to our legislators about the different issues that we have here in Detroit Lakes, and also to thank them for their support. They've, Senator Eakin and Representative Marquardt have been tremendous advocates for Detroit Lakes and have helped us with a lot of different things. So it's not only to talk to them about the ongoing issues, but it's to thank them for their, all their hard work up to date.
Right. Also, of course, local government aid always comes up, and of course, the sales tax, the help that they did with the local option sales tax. But also, Detroit Lakes has been used as an example with the wastewater treatment plant and receiving funding from the state and the legislature approving funding. And I know that the governor actually mentioned him in the State of the State address. So that's pretty cool.
We had Governor Walz here last fall, along with some of the higher up dignitaries from the state that came up to take a look at our wastewater treatment plant, which, as you mentioned, Carol, is going to act as a template for many future wastewater plants in the state of Minnesota. It's a state-of-the-art facility with the latest technology, and we're going to have some of the cleanest discharge that you can have scientifically. So it's quite a project.
Right. Yeah, Detroit Lakes has taken some extra efforts to make sure our lakes stay pristine, and those measures. Of course, we passed a shoreland ordinance that we've been working on, and that came into play last night with a number of developments that are in the works. And I know that the topic of docks and lifts and all that sort of shoreline clutter came up last night for one project, but it also opened the door to have more of a discussion on what's going to go on with the shoreline.
Yeah, just in general, I'd just make the statement that the city council and the folks in Detroit Lakes, we all have a pretty strong concern with the lakes. I think we practice pretty good stewardship here with our different measures, whether it be street sweeping or stormwater retention ponds or shoreland ordinances, what have you. I think we've all realized how important our lakes and streams are here in the lakes area. So it's a very important thing, and I hope we continue to do so far into the future.
All right. And I know that each year, and this was something that was in discussion in one of the committees too, about discussion of dock ordinance changes. Comes up every year. People have to reapply for permits for docks to put them in for the summer.
We regulate some. We are able to regulate some docks on our area, on our city's lakes. Most private docks, though, I think fall under the jurisdiction of the DNR or maybe the county, but I think it's the DNR. So, there's some regulations and restrictions that we can impose, but overall, most of the docks on our area lakes do not fall under the city's jurisdiction.
Okay. Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk in the studio with me this morning. We have a few more minutes. Mayor Brenk, also something on the discussion situation happened maybe last month with one of our massage parlors in town, but we don't really have an ordinance in our city, and that there's some discussion coming up on that as well.
We didn't have a massage parlor or a massage therapist ordinance in place in the city, so last evening we gave first reading to a new ordinance, and it'll be on the agenda for April for second reading and adoption. And that ordinance will put in place some regulations for massage parlors and for massage therapists. They'll have to get a license. We haven't pinned down the fees at this point, but it'll give us the opportunity, if we have a situation that you alluded to where we have some nonsense going on like we had, that the city can actually go in and revoke the license and close it down. So it's something I think we needed to have, and so we're moving forward with that ordinance.
All right. Another thing we should mention before we close here is the fire department. Of course, the fire department does a great job for our community, and they're having a banquet coming up on the 21st, I believe, but they have some raffle tickets for sale. Is the city going to do, or city alderman and you going to do a little tour of the fire department?
We are.
The new chief, Ryan Swanson, is taking over.
Yes, and you know what? I didn't write down that date.
I think he said the 26th.
Okay, that sounds right.
It's a Thursday, the 26th.
We have a new fire chief, Ryan Swanson, and Chief Swanson has invited myself and the city council to come over to the fire department and do a tour and get an update on, the way how things are going over there and whatnot. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to that. And I think they're going to maybe even cook us some hot dogs.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Okay. And they are always looking for volunteers at the fire department. I know that there are probably a few in the works going through their training, their probationary period before they are officially firefighters.
We've talked about that several times, I know, in the past few months when I've been here with you. And yes, we do. We could use a few more firefighters. We're always looking for people that are willing to help out with that volunteer position. And so if anyone's interested, they can contact either Chief Swanson or you can certainly call City Hall and get all the information, and we'll help you from there.
All right, Detroit Lakes Mayor Matt Brenk in the studio with me this morning. Mayor Brenk, thanks so much for coming in.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, and onward into spring, and that is going to wrap up Hodgepodge for today. Tomorrow we'll have folks in from Detroit Lakes Community and Cultural Center, also from the Isaac Walton League, talking about an event they're hosting. That's on Thursday's Hodgepodge. And coming up, we'll check in with the news, local news, national news, all ahead in the 9 o'clock hour. You're in tune to 1340 AM, 93.1 FM.